Anyways, we're going to move on to MVP discussion here. We talked a little about Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis, if he keeps up what he's doing, which it's only been 2 games, and I don't think he will, he's going to win the MVP no matter what.
I'm on that boat. I don't think he will.
I don't think he will either, just because I don't think he's going to average 47 points.
But do you think he could average like 33?
If he averages 35 to 37, he will win the MVP.
I mean, that's honestly.
But also, it's hard to say no because he will, because Kobe did it and Kobe didn't win it.
Yeah.
So
Kobe took a lot of shots though. The rest of the team didn't take.
Anthony Davis has taken 34 in both games.
Good point. Who do they got to take shots? The Pelicans.
And hey, we're gonna bring up a guy who's if we're talking about chucking up shots, we're gonna talk about Russell Westbrook here.
Yeah,
and
we
the
are.
only reason why we're gonna be talking about him,
but they have Pocket Westbrook.
Yeah, but he shot 44 times in that Suns game where he scored 51.
But is he always gonna shoot like that?
No,
look, he's just he absorbed Kevin Durant's shot count. That's all. He's just making it easier so he doesn't have to pass the ball. He just soaked in all those shots. He's like, all right, so I used to put up like 24 a night.
So wait a second.
So we just combine it, and it's all me.
I just split with this guy. Now I get them all myself.
Exactly. No one else deserves a shot.
He only shot 21 times in the Sixers game.
I'm going in Russell Westbrook mind here.
Not a little Depot.
He is a one-man band. He just takes the ball and goes with it. It's fun to watch because he's the most passionate guy right now in the NBA. The dude wants it more than anybody else. And
he's getting flipped off.
He's getting flipped off. That reaction was phenomenal.
He's shooting 10 to 10 or 2 from 10 from a 3-point landing.
Doesn't even give a fuck. Like, he doesn't second guess himself, which is one of the best things. Like, he has so much confidence in his own play that he'll never have that moment where he's like, should I not shoot it because I've been bad tonight? No. He's gonna go and take the shot because he knows he's still the most talented guy on that team. Does
talent like that and can Russell Westbrook win the MVP?
Absolutely.
And well, yeah, obviously he can. I mean, fucking Nick Stauskas can win the MVP, but what I'm saying anyone can win it, but still, because it's pretty wide open here.
Okay,
who are your front runners for the MVP right now? It's Anthony Davis.
Yep. Westbrook. And James Harden.
You're not throwing Kawhi in?
Kawhi is there, but he's so quiet of a guy. Like, you have think about how much, like, okay, Anthony Davis numbers do the talking. No one's denying that's history. Russell Westbrook is the most outspoken player in the NBA outside of LeBron James. So he's definitely there. He is in a huge, like, everybody wants to talk about him because of the KD situation. So he's got that spotlight on him. Kawhi is quiet because, like, look, yes, Tim Duncan retired, and the hottest action on that team is still talking about LaMarcus Aldridge possibly being traded. The dude, 5 steals a night. He is crazy on defense. His offense is phenomenal. He's an all-around stud, and I think he's in that discussion of right behind LeBron James, it's Kawhi Leonard.
But do you think, well, I mean, you're throwing it even KD too?
Yeah.
Really?
Why not?
I'm just saying. He
has a better all-around game.
He's been phenomenal.
KD is the best scorer. No one's going to argue. I'm not going to argue that. I'm not that stupid. But Kawhi Leonard has the best all-around game. But he is the best defender in basketball, period, right now. I mean, there's
no argument.
But really, when you look at it, how often does defense play into the MVP? You look at Steph Curry. Kevin Durant had a fucking phenomenal scoring season in 13-14. LeBron, D. Rose, LeBron, Kobe, Dirk. Well, how many of those guys were we like, this was a fucking phenomenal defensive season?
But then also 2001 to 2005, Steve Nash was a phenomenal defensive player.
Steve Nash.
Those should have been Shaq's MVPs, though. Should have been Shaq's MVPs.
Kevin Garnett was a phenomenal defensive player. Then Tim Duncan
Different era. Notice where I stopped, though.
His stat line's ridiculous.
Notice where I stopped.
But also, if we're
my thing is, that's why he's probably not going to get it, is because what he does isn't always in the stat sheet. It's not in that score column.
You're talking about
only
Kawhi.
People care.
You're talking about okay. Because I was saying the one reason why LeBron might not get it, even though I think that he's a front runner, is just because same thing as last year. He doesn't need to go hard.
Well, that's the thing.
LeBron
will never be in the discussion again because LeBron does not care about the MVP anymore.
Right. He's deferring to Kyrie on a lot of the shots in these games because Kyrie is growing as a phenomenal shooter in this league.
Well, the one thing with LeBron too is the reason why LeBron was so pissed off about the whole MVP voting thing last year was that people were saying that Steph Curry was the best player in the NBA, not the most valuable player in that season.
And to pull a Trump right here, wrong.
Trademarked. Wrong. The one thing you got to look into, though, is whenever people, like the general knowledge of people, when you look at MVP to any normal person, it's like, oh, the MVP, he's the best player.
In that season, though.
But that's what people look at. And I think that in my criticism at the time was LeBron should have just let it fucking go. Shouldn't have even had to worry about it. Shouldn't have had to say anything about it.
But then if he didn't let it go, then he might not have had the performance he had in the NBA Finals.
I think he would have had the performance.
That was a huge chip.
He should have.
That was a chip.
Well, you can have it as be a chip on your shoulder and not come out and say anything about it. That's what I was saying at the time. But to me, with the MVP this year, I think it comes down to my two front runners, James Harden and Russell Westbrook. But it's going the thing that I think is going to be interesting is will we see, because it's going to be a long season, do we see
there's going to be 80 more games?
Do we see a member of the Warriors, I would put either Steph or Durant, do we see them get into the discussion although they have a stacked team?
I don't think so, just because I don't think they'll be playing the full season. I think it's kind of like the LeBron situation where they won't be playing exactly every season here, and I think that every game.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that is going to benefit Russell and James Harden is that they'll constantly stuffing the stats here, and I think that they'll also have a winning team where AD won't have that.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. My one concern completely because of that is I don't know health-wise if they can keep it up the whole season. Mm-hmm. Like, Russ is going hard to the hole every night, every chance he gets. His body's taking a physical toll, and doing that for 82 games, I'm a little concerned. The good thing is, like you said, they have a pocket Westbrook in Oladipo who has similar play style, much poorer shooter, unfortunately, but he can kind of defer to him to take some of the load off his shoulders. Meanwhile, Harden's that was just fucking crazy. Like, I have the biggest told you so right now on my face. Like,
relax.
I can't. The dude was amazing. He had like 9 assists in the first quarter of the first game. Uh-huh. It was an absolute joke. Straight up, if he wants to, he can definitely go double-digit assists this season, no question asked. He's still taking shots. He's still making them at a phenomenal rate. His three-point shooting, suspect, no argument there. But look, he is the guy who will win you games. And honestly, the biggest disappointment from that team is the fact that Ryan Anderson hasn't had a bigger impact. I think we all wanted him to step out more. And, that three-point shooting from a big man is huge, but he hasn't made his shots. And I think that Harden would have more assists. He'd probably be at like the second game he only had 8. If you watch the game because of missed shots, he would have been at 15. There are so many poor shot attempts by his teammates where they just fuck up easy things, and he's at a point where triple double for the season. Like, I don't think there's any question he can do it.
The one thing with Ryan Anderson too is that he is coming off an injury, so he still has to be readjusted to a team and readjusted to playing
new
team,
new system, and it's a fast pace with D'Antoni, so he's running the floor a lot.
Well, and that's the thing with Harden, that the one thing that I think will hurt him in the MVP is if he wants to win it, his team needs to be at the top of the Western Conference, because
what's the top?
One or two.
Oh,
I'd say
seriously?
one or two.
You're out of your freaking
because
mind.
you look at the last MVP winners. Curry, they were number 1. Warriors number
but they were
1.
Also
when Durant won it with the Thunder, LeBron with the Heat. When Rose won it with the Bulls, we had the best record in the Eastern Conference. Then you got LeBron with Cleveland, Kobe with the Lakers, and these players are on the best teams in their conference. That's what I think is going to go hand in hand. And with Harden, his biggest criticism with me, I've never said that he couldn't stuff the stat sheet. I never said that he couldn't go triple-double each and every night, but it's going to play into a factor. You got to prove me wrong. Can you get this team to that spot to where you are a valid top of the Western Conference team?
See, the one thing
that's going to hurt him this season.
The one thing that I will disagree with that is the fact that with the Warriors, there's pretty much 4 legitimate MVP candidates on that team. So it's going to be hard for one of them to separate one another from the pack. The thing with Cleveland is LeBron isn't really trying for the MVP anymore, and I don't think people will select Kyrie over LeBron for that, and K-Love is statistically having a better season than Kyrie right now, even though it's 2 games. So what up, K-Love?
I'm glad they're using him better. I really am. It's good for him. But look, I think Harden's not going to win it because, look, the man didn't even make third-team All-NBA last year. There's a clear hatred for him right now. I don't know what it is between the media, the public. They seem to be a lot of disrespect. The old shit used to be, oh, he doesn't play defense, all this turnovers. The man was one-man banding it for his team and still dragged them into the playoffs or right to them. So I'm really disappointed in the fact that, Ricky, I think you're right. I think the MVP is probably going to come from a probably a top 4 team in the NBA.
So does that bring Kawhi in?
It could. It's just, I don't know if he makes enough of impact media-wise. Like, he doesn't draw enough attention to himself. So that's his biggest flaw. And that's why I think, like, Westbrook is the most polarizing guy in the NBA right now. And unless Anthony Davis maintains historic numbers, he's not going to win it. So
can we agree on this? The MVP will come from either someone who has a historic season, so either James Harden or Russell Westbrook or Anthony Davis. So really, if Westbrook or James Harden averages a triple-double, or if Anthony Davis is ridiculously averaging over 35 points, or 30, I would say 35, not even
probably,
over 30.
People have done 30 before.
And then one thing that I would also say is that they have to, and if there isn't a historic season, that someone from a top team will have to win the MVP, but that's the one thing that is going to be hard. Is I think that's really the only guy that stands out for me is Kawhi, is because if they do stand in the top 2, then you're going to look at the best player on one of those top 2 teams. And I don't think someone on the Warriors will separate themselves enough, and then Kawhi will be pretty much the default there for the San Antonio Spurs. Not trying to take away from Kawhi, but just throwing that out there.
No, that's a fair. I would say it's a completely accurate. That lines up with what I'm thinking.
Well, and the one thing that I've got to look at one more season before I confirm this point. I've been doing research right now ferociously. Yeah, the year that I keep going back to, that Dirk, the 2006, 2007, since that season until now, the MVP has come from either a number 1 seed or a number 2 seed.
There you go.
Boom, right there.
There you go. So unless they have a historic season or Dirk Nowitzki, they will win the MVP.
Because Dirk was 1, Kobe was 1, LeBron won, Rose won, LeBron again was 1, KD was 2, and then Steph, of course, was 1-1.
Okay, so that pretty much will wrap up the feelings that we have here on the MVP discussion for the Fast Break this week. We think that it's either going to go to someone who has a historic season, whether it's James Harden, Russell Westbrook, or Anthony
AD
Davis.
If he keeps going.
Yeah, said Anthony Davis.
I know.
Or a guy who is at the top of the Western Conference, because Ricky was doing diligent research through this whole
ferocious.
This whole
that's the word that's your word of the day. Ferocious.
Through the whole Fast Break, trying to figure that out. So either Kawhi, a guy from the Warriors. Probably not LeBron, but LeBron's definitely going to be in there if he has a game like he did in the opener. But anyways, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Fast Break Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you did on Blog Talk Radio, we really appreciate it. If you're listening on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you do want to follow us on Twitter, check out the links in the description. Twitter is at Most Valuable Pod. If you do want to reach us, and then our personals, I believe, will be in the description as well. Also, check out our Instagram, check out our Snapchat, and also check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. If you do want to see more video podcasts, if you want to see us while we're talking, definitely head over to patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. But for Dave Oster, for Ricky Widmer, I am Sean Anderson, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.